It all began when I inherited an old mirror from my late grandmother, a family heirloom with an ornate golden frame that bore the weight of history. As I brought the mirror into my home, I felt an inexplicable chill. It was beautiful yet eerie, and I couldn't help but wonder about the secrets it held. Strange occurrences soon followed. When I gazed into the mirror, I saw distorted faces, agonized and twisted, as if trapped in torment. Whispers echoed in the room, barely audible but undeniably chilling. But it was one fateful night that the mirror's malevolence reached its peak. As I gazed at my reflection, the mirror seemed to come alive. A skeletal hand, cold as death, emerged from within the glass, reaching for me, for my very soul. Terrified and trembling, I fled the room, vowing never to return. The mirror's haunting secrets were not meant for the living. It had turned my home into a nightmare, a place of shadows and horrors.
It all began when I discovered an antique mirror at a local estate sale. A mirror that seemed to whisper secrets of centuries past, secrets I couldn't resist. As I brought the mirror into my home, it transformed the room into an enigmatic chamber of shadows and secrets, a place where the mundane and the supernatural collided. In those early days, the mirror's presence was subtle, an unsettling feeling in the pit of my stomach, glimpses of movement in the mirror's reflection, and whispers that seemed to emanate from another world. But one night, curiosity overwhelmed caution. I dared to gaze into the mirror's reflection, and in an instant it pulled me into a realm of horrors, a nightmarish dimension inhabited by grotesque, twisted versions of myself. In that realm, I was surrounded by horrific doppelgangers, each one clawing at me, trying to pull me into the abyss, a place devoid of hope or salvation. And there I would remain, lost, clawing at the glass, seeking another perhaps to take my place.
It all started as a dare, one of those foolish dares kids embark on during sleepovers. The legend we had heard was about a malevolent presence that resided within mirrors, a sinister reflection lurking just beneath the surface. And so, on that fateful night, we gathered in my grandmother's attic to summon it. The mirror itself had an air of ancient mystique, bearing witness to years gone by. We believed it held the key to unlocking the dark reflection, to venturing into the unknown. We were so stupid. As we chanted the incantations, an eerie energy coursed through the room, and the mirror seemed to respond. It was as if our words had called forth a sinister presence, a nightmarish version of ourselves, with hollow eyes and sinister smiles. One by one, my friends were drawn into the mirror's malevolent grasp. Their terrified screams echoed through the attic, filling the air with a chorus of horror. I watched in helpless terror as they vanished into the dark reflection, leaving me alone with the malevolent doppelgangers. In the attic, I was trapped with those sinister reflections, grotesque versions of my friends and myself. They moved with malevolence, tormenting me with their twisted gestures and soulless eyes. I knew I had to escape, but the mirror's power was relentless. In desperation, I lashed out, kicking and screaming, but they tore at me, held me firm. Yet somehow, one kick landed true. I heard breaking glass crumbling to the dusty floor. The mirror shattered, and I was all alone. My friends were gone, like they never existed in the first place. Maybe they hadn't. I question my mind to this day.
I'd always been drawn to antiques, fascinated by the stories and secrets they might hold. So when I stumbled upon the ornate full-length mirror at a dusty estate sale, I knew I had to have it. The mirror's frame, adorned with intricate carvings, seemed to whisper promises of hidden histories. As I transported the mirror to my home, a feeling of unease settled in the pit of my stomach. The antique was beautiful, but there was something about it, a subtle malevolence that I couldn't quite shake. The mirror found its place in my bedroom, reflecting the pale moonlight that filtered through the curtains. Late one night, unable to sleep, I found myself standing before it, studying my own reflection. But as I gazed deeper, the reflection shifted, contorting into a grotesque, nightmarish version of myself. Panic surged through me as I stumbled backward, tripping over my own feet. I tried to convince myself it was a trick of the mind, a product of exhaustion and anxiety. But in the following days, the mirror's sinister nature became undeniable. Objects began to move on their own, shifting positions when I wasn't looking. Whispers echoed through the room, chilling and unintelligible. I even heard my own name called out in the dead of night, but when I investigated, there was no one there. I invited a friend over, hoping their presence would quell my growing unease. We stood before the mirror, both of us staring at our reflections. It didn't take long before my friend gasped and stepped back. Their reflection, too, had twisted into a horrifying visage. Fear gnawed at the edges of my sanity. I decided to research the mirror's history, hoping to uncover the source of its malevolence. It turned out that the mirror had belonged to a wealthy family in the early 1900s. Rumors circulated about a series of tragedies that had befallen them. Mysterious deaths, unexplained disappearances, and tales of insanity. One story in particular sent a chill down my spine. It was said that the mirror had been a wedding gift to the family's youngest daughter, Isabella. On the night of her wedding, Isabella had looked into the mirror and saw a horrifying vision. The mirror had shown her a future filled with death and despair, causing her to flee the ceremony in terror. Isabella's life had spiraled into madness after that night, and she was eventually committed to an asylum, where she met a tragic end. The mirror, however, had remained in the family, a dark relic of their misfortune. Determined to rid myself of the mirror's curse, I contacted a paranormal expert. They arrived with an array of tools and gadgets, ready to investigate. As they examined the mirror, their face paled. They explained that the mirror was a conduit for malevolent spirits, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. Together we performed a ritual to cleanse the mirror, using ancient incantations and offerings. The room filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of my pounding heart. Finally, as the last words of the incantation left the expert's lips, the mirror shuddered and emitted a deafening, otherworldly wail. The ritual was a success, and the mirror seemed to lose its malevolent energy. I watched as the once twisted reflections returned to normal. Relief washed over me, and I thanked the expert for their help. But as they left, a voice whispered in the back of my mind, a haunting, chilling reminder that some malevolence can never truly be banished. The mirror now stands in my attic, hidden away from the world, a reminder of the darkness that lurks just beneath the surface, a darkness that can never truly be escaped.